25 years later, a life-changing loan application revealed an incredible, touching family secret. Sarah's heart raced as she stared at the application form spread out on her kitchen table, the ink still fresh and trembling beneath her fingers. This was the application for the small business loan that could save her struggling bakery. The dream her father had poured his heart into somehow felt like both a fragile ember and a heavy anchor. Could this be the moment everything changed? The weight of potential flooded her chest. Every morning, the gentle scent of fresh pastries and baked bread mingled with the crisp autumn air as she awoke at dawn. Maplewood seemed to cling to its quaint charm, even while many sensed the town's struggle. Little Ethan and spirited Mia knew their mother worked hard, but they didn't see the shadows lurking behind her smiles. Days bled together as Sarah juggled the bakery and family, longing for a break, a glimmer of hope that as she rummaged through the dusty attic that day, Sarah was only searching for documents, tax records and accounts, but what she found was much more soul-shaking. A battered box, cloaked in cobwebs and neglect, sat quietly in the corner, beckoning her. Curiosity had a grip on her as she lifted the lid, revealing letters that had once whispered promises of love, and inked memories long tucked away. Each piece drew her deeper into the world of her father. She never truly knew a soldier whose love and sacrifices for family were drowned in the aftermath of absence. "Dad, why did you leave?" she whispered to the empty attic. The silence that followed pressed heavily on her heart. The emotional weight of each letter pulled at the layers of resentment she had built over the years against both him and her mother for the deafening silence that had engulfed their lives after he disappeared. She had carried that weight alone for too long. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Tears prickled her eyes as new questions bubbled to the surface. Had he been tied to people in town all those years? What else had her mother hidden? The icy grip of anxiety squeezed around her heart, even more so as she anticipated her loan meeting later that week. When she thought of how the town could finally see her in her bakery, she felt a flicker of inspiration battling against her fear. She scanned through the letters, old memories tugged at her faded photographs, petty gossip, feelings of neglect. Would uncovering these deep-rooted secrets finally help her break the chains gripping her life? The anticipation lingered like the spicy scent of cinnamon chai wafting through the bakery that morning. Just as she thought of the loan officer's kind smile, a woman who seemed no more than she let on. Sarah faced a crossroads. A whirlwind of hope and uncertainty spiraled around her as she sensed that her family's past might not only shape their future, but might even heal their broken bonds. Could this journey lead her toward the answers she desperately craved? Or would it open newer, more painful wounds? As the aroma of freshly baked bread enveloped her, she felt the weight of history pressing against her, echoing in the silent corners of Maplewood. Would the secret she was now beginning to unearth finally lead her to freedom? The morning of the loan meeting arrived too soon. Sarah stood in front of the bathroom mirror, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear, and taking shallow breaths. The sun streamed through the window, illuminating the dust motes that danced in the light, but it couldn't quite pierce the heaviness that sat in her chest. Today felt monumental, yet she couldn't shake the feeling that her father's presence lingered, an unseen weight in the room. Would she succeed or find herself swallowed by the past? As she made her way to the bakery, the streets of Maplewood buzzed with the morning routine of life. A few familiar faces waved, their smiles carrying the warmth of community, yet Sarah felt like an outsider in her own skin. She approached the bakery, its quaint exterior a husk of what it once promised. The storefront beckoned, still adorned with flower boxes and colorful signage, but the cracks ran deeper than paint and wood. The sound of the bell chiming above the door filled her heart with conflicting emotions, hopeful and terrified. Inside, the familiar scents surrounded her, wrapping her in a bittersweet embrace as she touched the surfaces of her father's legacy. She filled her apron pockets with fresh ingredients, all while glancing nervously at the clock. Each tick echoed her heartbeat louder, as if mocking her apprehension. Just then, Ethan and Mia burst through the door, their laughter brightening the dim corners like sunlight breaking through clouds. Mom, can we help? Mia asked, her eyes sparkling with energy. Sarah couldn't resist their enthusiasm. Sure. We could use your expert skills, she smiled, trying to mask her anxiety. Ethan set to whisking egg whites, while Mia carefully rolled dough at the counter. She watched them, feeling gratitude wash over her. Her children were her anchors, but shadows still loomed as the clock inched towards 11. Dread unfurled in her stomach. What if they don't believe in me? She muttered, more to herself than to anyone else. The children paused, sensing something deeper in their mother's tone. Ethan hummed an upbeat song, trying to fill the silence, while Mia clambered onto a stool to reach her mother's eye level. Mom, if you believe in the bakery, then they will too, she exclaimed with innocence. Her simple words, filled with untainted confidence, cut straight to the heart. They reminded Sarah why she fought so hard. It wasn't just about baking. It was about creating a life for them, filled with love and memory, just as her father had hoped. With a renewed sense of purpose, Sarah set out. Before stepping into the loan office, she took a moment to inhale the fresh air, letting it fill her lungs. She thought of the letters, the secrets waiting to be unraveled, a new chapter just a hand's reach away. Inside, the room was warm and inviting. The loan officer, Mrs. Whitaker, greeted her with a reassuring smile. Sarah, so good to see you. I've heard wonderful things about your bakery, she said, genuine interest sparking in her eyes. Thank you, Sarah replied, barely concealing the anxiety bubbling beneath her facade. As she sat across the desk, a flood of thoughts crashed in. Was this just about the loan? Or did it mean she could also redefine her family's narrative? Mrs. Whitaker began flipping through the application, her brow furrowing slightly. I'd like to discuss this further, Sarah. There are some things that need clarification. Suddenly, the notes of the past clashed with the uncertainty of the present. What if answers to her father's disappearance were locked in this moment? As the words flowed, a memory of his letters flickered in her mind, igniting hope and fear alike. Sarah's fingers danced anxiously over the table, feeling time stretch as she awaited the verdict, her heart racing through a minefield of possibility. But then, something unexpected slipped from the officer's lips, something that felt like a door creaking open. Sarah, before we go further, there's something in the town records that might interest you. Caught off guard, a chill raced down Sarah's spine. What could Mrs. Whitaker possibly know? Could it lead her closer to the answers she so desperately sought? As she looked into the officer's eyes, she felt the breath catch in her throat. This was just the beginning. Sarah's heart hammered wildly in her chest. What do you mean? She finally managed to ask, her voice barely a whisper. Anxiety tightened around her throat, but curiosity sparked a fire in her veins. Mrs. Whitaker leaned in, lowering her voice as if sharing a secret. I came across some documents while reviewing your application. Old records about your father and his business dealings. The air felt thick, as if every breath had become tangible tension. Sarah's thoughts raced. What kind of dealings? Mrs. Whitaker hesitated, as if she was deciding whether to share something monumental or keep it sealed away. There are some transactions tied to the bakery along with additional property he acquired long before he disappeared. Sarah's mind flipped through a series of emotions. Confusion twisted with hope. What could these documents reveal? Did they contain clues to her father's fate? Why is this important now? She asked, unsure if she wanted to hear the answer. Another pause. Because there's a chance it could help your application, and it might also provide leads to find out what happened to him. The knot in Sarah's stomach twisted tighter. Could one conversation unravel years of uncertainty? The thought was exhilarating, but it terrified her too. Can you show me? She blurted out. I need to see it. There was urgency in her voice, a plea to open the door wider, to excavate the past. Mrs. Whitaker nodded slowly. Of course. With a click of her pen, Mrs. Whitaker made a note. Let us set up a time for you to come back. I'll gather the files. We can dive into this together. For the first time today, Sarah felt a flood of warmth and gratitude wash over her. Thank you. It was all she could say, but the sincerity wrapped her words in a hug. Now, as for your loan, let us not lose sight of that amidst these revelations, Mrs. Whitaker said, pulling them back onto the path Sarah had initially prepared for. It's important for your bakery's future. As they reviewed the loan application details, numbers and figures danced together on the page. Sarah knew this was more than just financing. It was a chance to reclaim her life, her family's legacy. Each detail she provided felt like a stitch mending the fabric of her past. Finally, they wrapped up and Sarah stood to leave, her heart still racing, but this time from excitement. She stepped back into the bustling streets of Maplewood, feeling the sun warm her skin, as though it was endorsing her renewed hope. But as she walked, something gnawed at the corners of her mind. What if digging into her father's past unearthed more than she was prepared to handle? What if the answers changed everything, her memories, her connection to him? As she pushed open the bakery door, a gentle rush of familiar scents enveloped her, but the worry flickered in her heart. Would uncovering the truth honor her father's memory or shatter the fragile peace she had built? Sarah glanced at her children, their laughter mingling with the sweet aroma of baking bread, and she felt torn. She wanted to protect them from the shadows that lurked in her past. But there was no turning away now. That door had cracked open, revealing something deep and enticing. What would she uncover when she stepped through it? The thought haunted her, and she knew her journey was only just beginning. The next morning, Sarah woke to the smell of freshly baked croissants wafting through her home. It was one of those mornings where everything felt too perfect, an illusion of normalcy perhaps. But in the back of her mind, the mystery awaiting her in Mrs. Whitaker's office loomed larger than ever. She poured herself a cup of coffee, watching her children giggle and chase each other through the living room. Just last night they had snuggled up on the couch, unwinding together after a long day. Her motherly instincts wanted to preserve that joy, but now a different kind of responsibility tugged at her heart. As she stirred her coffee, flashes of her father's face invaded her thoughts. It was strange how memories could feel both vibrant and faded at the same time. His warm laugh echoed in her mind, a comforting melody. Yet alongside it lingered the question that plagued her: who was he really? After breakfast, when the kids finally settled into a playful cartoon, Sarah slipped into the small makeshift office in the back of the bakery. It was cluttered with papers and ingredients, a chaotic sanctuary where she planned her life and dreams. She grabbed her notebook, each page filled with her ambitious ideas for the bakery. But today, those ideas felt intertwined with uncertainties. The clock ticked slowly as she waited for her appointment with Mrs. Whitaker. The minutes dragged on, thick and heavy, just like the anticipation in her chest. Finally, she couldn't wait anymore. She decided to review her father's journey through the bakery's history instead. A legacy woven into flour and time, yet so shrouded in shadows. The way he used to knead the dough filled her with a bittersweet happiness. With each rhythmic slap against the counter, her father would weave stories about his dreams of making people smile through his pastries. Always with a special secret ingredient, he'd claim he couldn't reveal. She remembered the warmth of his hands guiding hers as they decorated cakes together. But in that warmth was also confusion. The bakery wasn't just a collection of fond memories. It was a path leading back to questions of betrayal, loss, and perhaps even danger. A gentle knock at the door jolted her from her reverie. "Sarah." Mrs. Whitaker's voice came through, gentle and inviting. "I'm ready when you are." Her heart raced as she let Mrs. Whitaker in. The load of anticipation settled into the pit of her stomach again, heavier than before. The unsorted folders in front of her felt like a trap wrapped in a promise. "Are you ready?" Mrs. Whitaker asked, her eyes searching Sarah's face, reading the flickers of fear and hope. "Let us do this," Sarah finally said, feeling a rush of determination replace her hesitation as they sat down. Flipping through documents, the sheets of yellowed paper told stories drenched in mystery. They spoke of deals and partnerships, property acquisitions, and, more crucially, of people who once trusted her father. Each piece whispered of connections, interactions, a web of lives intertwined. Could it hold the key to not just her father's fate, but also to her future? Just then, Mrs. Whitaker pulled out an old photograph. The sepia tones faded into a story of friendships, shared bread, and laughter. But it was the face next to her father that caused Sarah to gasp, a woman she didn't recognize, but whose eyes mirrored her own. "Who is this?" Sarah asked, her curiosity now ignited into a vibrant flame as they leaned closer over the grainy image. She realized she was about to confront not only her father's past but possibly her own identity as well. What had her father hidden? And how far did the truth stretch beyond what she thought she knew? The past was waiting to be unveiled, and Sarah felt the pull of destiny beckoning her forward. Sarah couldn't take her eyes off the photograph. The woman beside her father radiated warmth, just as he did. Yet, there were so many unanswered questions swirling in her mind. Who was she? How was she connected to her family? Did her father ever speak of her? Mrs. Whittaker must have sensed Sarah's turmoil. That woman, she was very important, Sarah. Your father loved her dearly. Loved her? The word hung in the air, charged with emotion. What do you mean? Mrs. Whittaker took a deep breath, a slight tremor in her voice. It's complicated, dear. They had a connection that went beyond friendship. Heat rushed to Sarah's cheeks as she grappled with the implications. Had her father been unfaithful? Or was there a deeper story concealed within those years? Why didn't he ever mention her? Maybe he was trying to protect you. Or perhaps he was ashamed of the decisions he made. Mrs. Whittaker's eyes softened. Some truths come at a cost, Sarah. Sometimes it's easier to keep certain secrets than to confront them. Sarah felt a weight pressing down on her chest. She thought she had known her father, but this new revelation shattered her perception. What was her name? Mrs. Whittaker carefully flipped to another page, revealing a list of names etched in elegant script. Her name was Amelia. The name lingered in the air, reverberating through Sarah's mind. Amelia. It rolled off her tongue like a song, sweet and haunting all at once. With that name came a wave of desire, not just to know her father's past, but to understand why he kept it hidden. It was the seed of a quest she never expected to embark on. Did she work at the bakery? Sarah inquired, her heart racing. Did that mean there was more evidence of her existence in this place? Yes, for a time Mrs. Whittaker started, but it was much more than that. She was a skilled baker, and your father trusted her talent. It was as if she completed him. The words settled in the room, heavy and inexplicably beautiful. A warm memory flashed in Sarah's mind, her father smiling proudly as he pulled a perfect loaf from the oven, the way his eyes sparkled as he taught her the intricate art of bread making. Could Amelia have played a vital role in those cherished moments? Where can I find her? The urgency in Sarah's voice surprised her. Is she still alive? I'm afraid I don't know, Mrs. Whittaker replied gently, her expression tinged with sadness. But there are people who might have answers. That means Sarah felt a spark ignite in her chest. I have to find out. I need to know what happened between them. Mrs. Whittaker nodded, her eyes reflecting a mix of concern and encouragement. Remember, Sarah, digging into the past can unearth more than you're expecting. Are you prepared for that? Sarah squared her shoulders, realization coursing through her veins. I have to be. It's about my father, about discovering who he really was. I owe it to him. Mrs. Whittaker's gaze held hers, deep and sincere. Then you might want to start with old records. The community center has archives that could lead you to her family. If you're willing to take that step, I'll help however I can. Gratitude washed over Sarah. She was no longer just a baker or a mother at the mercy of mysterious secrets. No, she felt like an explorer stepping into uncharted waters, a journey that might break her heart, but also potentially heal it. As she left the bakery office, determination propelled her step. A storm of anticipation brewed inside her. What secrets lurked just beyond the pages of history? What revelations awaited her? But one thing was certain, she wouldn't turn back. With her father's legacy in hand and questions weighing heavily on her heart, she was ready to embrace the truth, no matter what it held. After all, every secret English muffin and pastry carried its own story, and Sarah intended to uncover every last bite of it. What would she discover next when she stepped into the archives? Would the truth strengthen her family bond or unravel everything she thought she knew? The heavy wooden door of the community center creaked as Sarah pushed it open, a gust of cool air sweeping over her. The smell of old paper and dust enveloped her like a warm cloak, making her feel momentarily safe amid the uncertainty swirling in her mind. Rows of filing cabinets lined the walls, their metal keys ready to unlock stories buried in time. She took a deep breath and squared her shoulders. The task ahead loomed large and daunting, but her determination burned brightly. One foot in front of the other, she made her way to the front desk where a woman sat, poring over a stack of papers. The nameplate read Margaret, and there was a friendly smile on her face. Hi there. What can I help you with today? Margaret's voice was bright and welcoming, cutting through Sarah's nerves momentarily. I'm looking for information about someone Amelia. Amelia Fairchild, Sarah said, her voice tinged with urgency. I believe she may have worked here years ago. Margaret paused, looking thoughtful. Amelia Fairchild, I think I recall her. An intriguing lady indeed. She left quite an impression. What do you want to know? I need to find out who she was, what she did, anything that might connect her to my father. The desperation slipped into her words as she studied Margaret's expression, hopeful and desperate all at once. Margaret's brow furrowed slightly as she pulled a ledger from the shelf behind her. She flipped through it slowly as if each name were a relic. Sarah could feel her heart pounding in rhythm with each leaf turned. Did Amelia show up in these records? Did her life intertwine with her father's after all? Here we go, Margaret finally said, a smile breaking through her seriousness. She pointed to a name scrawled in meticulous handwriting. Amelia Fairchild. She worked in the bakery from the late 70s to the early 80s. I can look deeper into reports from that time if you'd like. Yes, please, Sarah exclaimed, the thrill of discovery sending a rush of energy through her. Margaret clicked away at her computer, the keys tapping a rhythm that matched the rapid beating of Sarah's heart. Ah, here it is. Amelia was known for her unique recipes. She even wrote a little column for our community paper. Recipes of Love, they called it. She had a knack for baking and weaving stories together. A nostalgic smile flitted across Sarah's lips. Recipes of Love, the phrase sparked something deep within her, resonating with the cherished memories of her father guiding her in the bakery. Margaret continued, there was a rumor about her and a gentleman, someone who famously baked by her side. They had a bond, you see? But not much is documented in this ledger. And what happened to her? Sarah pressed, leaning forward. Desperate for answers, Margaret glanced up, her eyes serious. Well, she moved away as far as I know. But there are still some old-timers in town who might remember more. What old-timers? Sarah asked, her mind racing with possibilities. There's old man Fletcher. He's lived here all his life. If anyone knows about Amelia and her story, it would be him. A fire ignited in Sarah's chest. Where can I find him? Margaret offered a chuckle. At the diner down the street. You can't miss him. He's always at the counter holding court over coffee. As Sarah hurried out of the community center, her pulse raced with new energy. One lead down, many more to go. Would old man Fletcher hold the keys to unlocking her father's past? The thought filled her with equal parts excitement and dread. What truths would she unearth? Would they bring her closer to understanding her father? Or would they tear apart the comforting image she had of him? Determination surged through her. She was not backing down, not now, not ever. What other remnants of love and heartbreak lay beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? One thing was for sure. Every step she took led her closer to a revelation, or perhaps more questions. The diner loomed ahead, its familiar sign flickering in the setting sun. What stories awaited her from the man who had witnessed it all? The diner looked like a slice of Americana, with its red vinyl seats and chrome accents that gleamed under the buzzing neon lights. Sarah pushed the door open, the small bell jingling overhead, snapping her to attention. The aroma of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon wrapped around her like an old memory, tugging at her heart as she scanned the room. Her gaze landed on a wiry old man at the countertop, hunched over a steaming cup. His white hair was a wild halo around his head, and deep lines etched stories on his face, stories waiting to be shared. That must be old man Fletcher. Taking a breath to steady her nerves, Sarah approached him. Excuse me, are you Mr. Fletcher? He looked up, his blue eyes twinkling with warmth. That's me, and you are? Sarah. I'm looking for information about Amelia Fairchild. She worked in the bakery years ago, she said, excitement bubbling within her. His expression shifted, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. Ah, Amelia, yes, she was a real gem around here. What do you want to know? I believe she might have known my father. Any chance you could tell me about her? Sarah leaned in, her heart racing. Fletcher took a sip of coffee and set his cup down with deliberate care. Amelia was quite the character. She was loved in this town, always baking up some magic with her treats and her words. Her Recipes of Love column brought us comfort during hard times. Sarah focused intently, eager to piece together this puzzle. And her relationship with the gentleman she baked with, who was he? Fletcher chuckled softly, nostalgia washing over him. Oh, that was Harry. Dedicated baker and her biggest fan. They were inseparable at the bakery. Some even speculated there was something more between them. The mention of Harry piqued Sarah's curiosity. Did they ever? You know? His laugh was rich and warm. A lot of folks thought so, but Amelia was private about her life outside the bakery. When she left, it was sudden. Some say she was heartbroken. Others think she just needed adventure. And what about Harry? Do you know what happened to him? Sarah pressed. Though she felt the path ahead would be littered with heartache, Fletcher paused, his brow furrowed in thought. He took it hard, that S for sure. Spent a long time just coming to terms with her absence. Last I heard, he moved to the city trying to find a fresh start. But the heart, it doesn't forget easily. A knot tightened in Sarah's stomach. Would her father be part of this heartbreak? She blinked back unexpected tears. She had always imagined her father as a joyful man. The thought of him entwined in sorrow was overwhelming. Fletcher leaned closer, sensing her turmoil. You remind me of Amelia. That same determination. That spark. If you're after answers, honey, you might try to find Harry. He may have the pieces you're searching for. Do you know where I can find him? Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Last I heard, he owned a bakery in the city, Fletcher said, his eyes growing soft with understanding. This town stays in the heart. Maybe a little piece of him still remembers too. Hope ignited in Sarah's chest as she contemplated her next steps. Harry, the man who could connect her to Amelia's past and maybe her father's as well. She felt the weight of revelation pressing down on her. Would it be what she hoped for? Facing old man Fletcher, she took a deep breath, determination coursing through her. Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. You've helped more than you know. As she stepped out of the diner, the sun dipped further, casting elongated shadows. Sarah's heart raced at the thought of what lay ahead. Was she ready to uncover the truth? What would she find when she tracked down Harry? Would it lead her closer to her father's story or farther from the comforting memories she held dear? The cool breeze brushed against Sarah's face as she stepped back onto the sidewalk. Streetlights flickered to life around her, their glow mingling with the last rays of sunlight. The world seemed to fade away for a moment, leaving her alone with her thoughts. The anticipation was almost tangible, buzzing in her veins, as she mulled over her next move. Finding Harry would be no easy feat. The city was sprawling, filled with towering buildings and bustling streets, a maze that felt more like a labyrinth to her. She took a moment to catch her breath, feeling the weight of the decision before her. What if he didn't want to talk? What if he moved on? Buried the past deep beneath a layer of icing and flour? The fear gripped her, but it didn't extinguish her resolve. With a surge of courage, Sarah pulled out her phone and began searching for the bakery's name. As she scrolled through listings, a particular name leapt out at her. Sweet Cravings. The reviews glowed with warmth and nostalgia, praising not just the cakes but the stories shared behind the counter. Her heart thumped louder as she read about the celebrated old baker, who had a passion for both pastries and people. She paused, staring at the screen, mesmerized. Was this place where Harry had found his new beginning? The thought lit a fire inside her. She knew she had to go. Climbing into her car felt like stepping into a new world. The engine roared to life under her touch, a comforting sound guiding her forward. As she drove through the winding streets, her imagination ran wild. What would Harry be like now? Would his eyes still sparkle with the same hope old man Fletcher had described? Or would they be dulled by years without Amelia? The city unfolded before her, lively and alive. The bustling crowd filled the streets, the sounds of laughter, and the smell of pastries dancing in the air. It was a different universe compared to the quiet town she grew up in. Sarah parked her car, trying to quell the nervous flutter in her stomach, as she took a moment to collect herself. Walking towards Sweet Cravings, she could see the bakery nestled between a bookshop and a florist. The window showcased a display of colorful cakes, cookies, and pastries lined up like soldiers ready for inspection. Instantly, her mind flashed back to the stories old man Fletcher told her. A place of magic, she whispered softly to herself. She pushed open the door, and the bell chimed merrily, throwing her heart back into her throat. The bakery was warm with the scent of cinnamon and sugar, laughter and chatter weaving together with the hum of eclectic music. She stepped further inside, allowing the comforting atmosphere to wash over her. And then she saw him, a man with flour dusted in his hair, his hands skillfully working with dough. Harry. Her pulse quickened. The moment he turned and caught her eye, time seemed to hold its breath. His face was lined with the passage of years, but his blue eyes retained that same spark, that same warmth. There was a moment of recognition on his face, as if he felt some unheard connection drawing them together. Taking a deep breath, Sarah approached him. "Excuse me, are you Harry?" He paused, wiping his hands on the apron at his waist. "That's me," he replied, his voice deeper, yet soothing like fresh bread straight from the oven. "Can I talk to you?" "It's about Amelia Fairchild," she said, the name tasting bittersweet on her tongue as she fought to keep her composure. Something flickered in Harry's gaze. It was a mixture of surprise and longing, an invitation and a challenge all at once. Would he embrace the memories or would he shy away from them? The bakery quieted down around them, the walls seemingly leaning in to listen. What revelations awaited them? Could they both confront the ghosts of their pasts, and would they come out stronger on the other side? "Sure," he said finally, a hesitant smile forming. "Let us talk." But as she stepped closer, ready to dive into a labyrinth of memories, Sarah wondered, was she prepared for whatever truth lay ahead? Would this journey open old wounds or heal them? Harry took a step back, his eyes searching Sarah's face. A mix of emotions played across his features, making Sarah's stomach twist with uncertainty. She could see the weight of his past looming like a shadow behind him, a barrier of memories held tightly under lock and key. "I didn't expect to see anyone from that time," he said, his voice barely a whisper. He glanced down, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through his otherwise composed demeanor. "Not after everything." The space between them felt heavy, pregnant with shared grief and lost time. Sarah took another step, determined to bridge that gap. "I'm so sorry for what happened, Harry. I really am. I know Amelia meant the world to you." He nodded slowly, the corners of his mouth curling into a sad smile. "She did. It still feels fresh, like it was yesterday. You don't ever really move on from someone like that. But what do you want to talk about? Why now?" His question caught her off guard. She took a deep breath, the warm air filled with sweet memories and a hint of cinnamon. This was her moment, a chance to connect the past with the present. "I came to share the stories that Amelia left behind. Some memories I think you might be missing. I wanted to remind you of the joy she brought into our lives." Harry's brow furrowed slightly, and his fingers instinctively clutched the apron. "Joy," he echoed, almost as if testing the word on his tongue. "It's been so long since I've allowed myself to feel that." "Then let us feel it together," Sarah said, her voice steady. "Remember her laughter? The way the sun hit her hair during those summer picnics? Or those silly dance-offs we had at our little gatherings?" At the mention of those memories, Sarah saw a glimmer of what once was spark in his eyes. He chuckled lightly, but it was tinged with sadness. "She loved those moments," he replied, sadness giving way to a hint of nostalgia. "I tried to keep baking to keep that spirit alive. But without her it's just been me and the dough." "Then let us bake together," Sarah suggested, letting the warmth of her own memories draw her even closer. "Let us recreate those moments in this very place." His gaze lifted, meeting hers with a newfound curiosity. "You really want to do that?" "More than anything," she said, the determination firing up in her chest. "We can bring her memory back, piece by piece with each cake, each cookie." Harry seemed to contemplate the idea, his expression oscillating between hope and fear. What if people see it as a strange way to deal with the past? What if it just hurts more? What if it helps us heal? Sarah countered gently. "Embracing the memories can be just as important as facing our pain. We owe it to Amelia." He considered her words, and for a long moment, silence enveloped them. Then he took a step forward, close enough that their breaths mingled. "Okay, let us do it." A smile spread across her face, and a wave of relief washed over her. Together, they began the process of unfolding stories, laughter mingling with flower as they embarked on a journey fraught with all the complexity of nostalgia. But as they started gathering ingredients, a commotion erupted from the back of the bakery. A loud crash followed by raising voices pulled their attention, stirring anxiety in Sarah's chest. Had something gone wrong? Harry's face hardened, his hands stilling. "What does that sound?" "It's not supposed to be that loud during the evening rush," he said, concern flashing in his eyes. Both turned toward the back, a sinking feeling settling over them. What was waiting behind the chaos? Would it disrupt their moment of reconnection? Or perhaps unveil another layer of the past they had yet to confront? "Let us go see," Harry said, moving toward the sound. As they approached the kitchen, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that whatever lay ahead would shift their fragile reunion into something far more significant. As they hurried to the back of the bakery, the sounds of clattering dishes and distressed voices grew louder. Sarah's heart raced with worry. Was this chaos about to ruin their moment? But as they pushed through the door, what they saw stopped them cold. The kitchen was in disarray. Flour frothed in clouds as if a ghost of the past had taken over. Amidst the chaos, a young woman was frantically trying to salvage a toppled rack of pastries. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to," she exclaimed, her face flushed with panic. She was new, Sarah realized, just a part-time staffer trying to find her footing. Harry moved into action, calming the girl with a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Hey, it's okay. Breathe. We've all had days like this. Let us clean up together." His voice was steady, reassuring. In that moment, Sarah realized that Harry could still channel the warmth Amelia once radiated. The energy in the room shifted. Sarah joined in, helping to tidy up, wiping away flour and gathering pastries. Laughter bubbled as they shared quick stories about kitchen blunders. The young woman introduced herself as Lily, a determined apprentice ready to learn the ropes. With each passing moment, the traces of sorrow hanging in the air began to dissipate. Amid the laughter, a clarity lit up in Sarah's heart. It wasn't just about the past, it was also about building their future. The bakery was alive again. A tapestry woven from laughter, shared stories, and a sprinkle of nostalgia. "Maybe this is how we remember Amelia," she suggested, picking up a tray and offering it to Harry. "By making it with love and sharing it with others. Let us create something new together." Harry's eyes glimmered with understanding. "You're right. It's not just about looking back anymore. It's about honoring her by keeping her spirit alive through everything we bake." As they gathered ingredients, Sarah shared snippets of Amelia's life, her cheerful spirit, the way she lit up every room, and her recipes of love column. Each story connected them, unthreaded emotions previously buried beneath layers of grief. Harry, too, opened up about his feelings. He had hidden away after her departure, allowing the memories of their time together to cast a shadow over his happiness. "I've missed her so much," he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. "But I've learned that holding on to love doesn't mean we can't let go of the pain." As the night wore on and they created new recipes, the kitchen buzzed with energy. They laughed, mixed batter, and recounted stories, the warmth of connection encircling them like a warm embrace. Finally, with a flourish, they pulled batches of fresh cookies from the oven. The scent wafted through the air, thick with the aroma of nostalgia and love. They stepped back, admiring their work, a delightful spritz of cookies adorned with pastel icing whispering tales of the past while promising new memories. "You know," Harry said thoughtfully, "I think Amelia would have loved this. She would have encouraged us to do this all along." Sarah nodded, her heart swelling with acceptance. They were not locked in the past but stepping boldly forward. As the last cookies cooled, an idea sparked. What if we held a special baking event? In her memory? Invite the community to share their favorite recipes. Harry's smile grew wider. "And we can highlight Amelia's recipes of love, our way of celebrating family, relationships, and the beauty of connection." That was it, the spark of something greater. A celebration that would weave together both the past and the present. They high-fived, excitement pooling between them. In that moment, Sarah realized that they were healing not just for themselves, but for others too. As they made plans for the upcoming event, a sense of peace settled in Sarah's heart. The bakery, her father's legacy, was not just about pastries. It was about warmth, family, and a shared love that transcended time. Then, with laughter echoing in the air and a fresh batch of cookies in hand, Sarah knew this was the moment everything began to transform. Her father's spirit lived on in her, in the bakery, and in all those she would bring together. The night ended with hopeful dreams for the community event, unearthing stories they never knew they shared, and deepening connections that would last a lifetime. As Sarah drove home, the weight of uncertainty lifted, turning into something light and beautiful. She smiled through the tears, feeling utterly grounded. Her journey might have started with digging into her father's past, but it had blossomed into something entirely new, a family legacy spanning generations, wrapped in love and baking. This was indeed just the beginning. With her heart full and her spirit renewed, Sarah finally understood. Sometimes the most incredible transformations come from the stories that connect us all together. Now here's the important part. You need to subscribe now to ensure you catch our next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to help feed the algorithm. And drop a comment sharing your thoughts and feelings about the ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's keep this incredible community growing and thriving.